You might think that laws are all about keeping us safe and maintaining order, but sometimes the rules in the United States can leave you scratching your head. From odd traditions to outdated regulations, America has its fair share of bizarre laws that are still technically on the books today. Some might even make you wonder, how did anyone think this was necessary? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into the top 7 most absurd laws in the United States, the laws that might just surprise you. Let's kick things off with a wet one. In Colorado, it's illegal to collect rainwater without a permit. Now, you might be thinking, wait, it rains all the time. Why do I need permission to collect it? Well, the reasoning behind this strange law is tied to water rights. In Colorado, water is a precious resource, and the state has very strict rules about how water is used. This law was put into place to prevent people from diverting water that could otherwise be used by others. Essentially, the state wants to make sure that private rain collection doesn't interfere with the larger water system that serves the community. According to some sources, it's allowed to collect rainwater using up to 2 barrels, with each holding a maximum of 110 gallons. Anything more than that crosses the legal limit, but still, it seems a bit wild that you need paperwork to catch raindrops, doesn't it? You'd better check with the authorities before setting up that rain barrel in your backyard. Fact number 2, in California, it's illegal to eat an orange in your bathtub. Why, you ask? Well, the exact origin of this law is unclear, but it likely has to do with health and safety. According to the available information, this law stems from the old belief that citric acid from the orange could mix with certain bath oils and cause an explosion, though this has no scientific basis. Some also say the law specifically prohibits peeling oranges in hotel rooms across the state, adding to its unusual reputation. Imagine eating a juicy, sticky orange in your tub, juice splattering everywhere and creating a mess that could be hard to clean. It was likely put in place to encourage cleanliness in public and private spaces. But really, it raises the question, how often did someone need to be stopped from eating an orange in the tub for this to become a law? Regardless, it's still on the books, though it seems like a law you'd be more likely to laugh about than get in trouble for. Next up, let's talk about Vermont, where it's actually illegal to whistle underwater. It sounds like something straight out of a comedy skit, right? But no, this strange law is still technically enforceable. It's part of a series of bizarre laws still on the books in the state, many of which were created a century ago when life was much different. The law essentially prohibits making underwater noises that could harm or confuse marine animals. Whistling, in particular, is included because it could interfere with how dolphins or whales communicate and navigate their surroundings. While it might seem overly specific, such laws were likely created with good intentions to prevent disruptive or potentially harmful behavior. That said, whistling underwater isn't exactly a pressing issue in modern times. Some experts speculate these laws were more symbolic. Regardless, it stands as a testament to the sometimes absurd nature of outdated legislation. Though it's rarely, if ever, enforced, Vermont's whistling law remains one of the quirkiest in the country. Now let's head to Alabama, where an even more specific and strange law exists. In this state, it's illegal to wear a fake mustache in church if it causes others to laugh. While it may sound like a joke, this law has serious historical roots. It was likely designed to maintain the serious and reverent atmosphere in churches during services. Can you imagine someone walking into a solemn church service wearing a fake mustache and causing a fit of laughter? It was probably considered disrespectful to disrupt the solemnity with something as trivial as a silly disguise. The law is still on the books today, even though it's so strange that most people probably wouldn't think twice about it, unless, of course, they're trying to crack a smile while attending Mass. Here's a fun fact that might surprise you. In Oregon and New Jersey, it's actually illegal to pump your own gas. Yep, in these states you're required to let an attendant do it for you. The law was originally introduced to ensure safety, think gas fumes, spills and potential hazards. But it also became a way to create jobs and maintain a sense of service. Over time, it's turned into a quirky part of local culture. In New Jersey, this rule has been in place since 1949, and Oregon followed closely behind in 1951. However, Oregon has loosened up a bit in recent years. Since 2018, smaller towns with fewer than 40,000 residents have been allowed to offer self-service gas stations. Still, if you're road tripping through either state, don't be surprised when someone else takes over at the pump. But don't think you can just ignore the rule. Violating it can cost you. Fines range from $50 to $250 for a first offense and can climb to $500 for repeat violations. In Oregon, lawmakers have justified these restrictions as a safety measure, especially for vulnerable groups like pregnant women who might be more affected by fumes. While the reasoning might feel a bit old-fashioned today, the law remains firmly in place, giving visitors a taste of the past and a break from pumping their own gas. Here's a sweet one. In Kentucky, it's illegal to carry ice cream in your back pocket. Now, you might be wondering why in the world anyone would need to carry ice cream in their pocket in the first place. Well, this strange law actually dates back to the 1800s. At that time, horse thieves would use ice cream as a trick to lure horses away from their owners, because horses are drawn to the scent of ice cream. So, as a result, this quirky law was put in place to prevent people from using ice cream to steal horses. While the law may seem completely irrelevant today, it remains on the books, showing just how strange and historical some of these rules can be. And last, but certainly not least, in some parts of Florida, it is actually illegal to sing in public after 11 p.m. if it disturbs others. This law was created to help maintain peace in residential areas, keeping late-night noise to a minimum. You can imagine if you're trying to get a good night's sleep and someone is belting out tunes in the street at midnight, it could get pretty frustrating. This law is in place to prevent that. But it's still strange to think that singing in public could get you in trouble, especially if you're just out there trying to express your inner Broadway star. So, if you're in Florida and have an urge to sing your heart out, make sure it's before the clock strikes 11. So that's 7 of the most absurd laws still on the books in the United States. Some are outdated, some are just plain quirky, but all of them are a reminder that sometimes laws can be as strange as they are fascinating. Next time you find yourself in one of these states, keep an eye out. You never know what odd law might surprise you. What do you think? Do you know any other bizarre laws we should know about? Let us know in the comments.